Welcome along to the Trial Show. It's wonderful to have your company. Glen Ingram, welcome to you. Now, I feel like we've been counting down to this moment for quite some time. You've been like a kid around Christmas waiting for Jimmysstar to be back the way that he's jumped out. He's back Saturday. Caged Lion, Ed, ready for Jimmysstar. I feel like he's probably had a birthday since we started talking about him. Felt like almost a month ago. So now we're ready. We've got the William Reid at Caulfield, obviously switched from Moonee Valley this year, but looking forward to Jimmysstar on Saturday. It's going to be he's going to be short and hard to beat. You've been finding plenty of winners. You've had a bit of a strut around the studio today. No, I haven't actually. I've had a couple of rough weeks, but okay. I had you marked down for a few winners, so you know I might have been a generous marker. We did. You might have talked me out of Jigsaw off air last week, so you owe me one this week. All right, I'll do my best to. Let's get into it. We've got a William Reid horse who's back on Saturday. He's had a bit of a freshen up. His name is Tropicus. When we last saw him in action, he was winning the Oakley Plate. Yeah, he's a fast horse, isn't he, Ed? And 1,100 metres, that's probably his go. The big test for him is going to be the 1,200 coming up this week. So El Rocco finished off nicely into second there from the John McArdle stable. And Tropicus is going to get Jamie Mott this week. And I heard Sam Freedman saying that Jamie's done plenty of work on the horse and deserves his shot. And is that because Mark Zara's riding Jimmy, obviously? Yes. In the same race. And then Craig Williams, who won on Tropicus in the Oakley Plates in Sydney. So with all these pieces of the jigsaw, the jockey jigsaw. Jockey bingo. Yep, allowed for Jamie Mott. He's got a good book of rides on Saturday. I think that Motty can have a really good day at the races at Caulfield. And I'll tell you what Jamie's been doing. He's been riding horses on speed really well, rating them really well in front and really aggressively. So I like the way he's going. Now, you said I talked you out of Jigsaw last week. Apologise for that. I can see the William Reid on Saturday, Tropicus and Jigsaw setting up a good tempo for Jimmy. Do you see it that way as well? It looks that way, yeah. Surprised they're backing him up, but he's obviously flying, and I think he was headed towards Sydney. Was that the original plan with Cindy? With Jigsaw? I think there was talk about that. Then that came up at the right time, that race last week. It was clearly a good race for him. It's all easy to say this in hindsight. And then I guess when you've got a horse like him going so well and you've got a Group 1 down the road a week later, why not have a go? Why not back him up? And look, he'll give a sight. He's tough and he's flying, and but he's got to overcome Jimmy. It's going to be tough. So we know Tropicus. We know him pretty well. We don't know this horse that features in the Fresh Faces for this week because he doesn't even have a name yet. This is an unnamed gelding by El Rocco, who went to the jump outs here at Ballarat for the first time ever. Yeah, not only is he a fresh face, Ed, he's needing owners, from what I can see. So he's on the website there with Pat Kearney Racing, if anyone wants to look him up. He's they paid $50,000 for this horse, the New Zealand ready-to-run sales, and he's a half to a horse called Girls, 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 who's a decent stayer with Andrew Bobbin. And yeah, this horse looks really forward and he's got a good action. He does plenty of things right. He won that jump out in quick time too. So I reckon they would have been wrapped with what they saw. I mean, obviously sometimes horses control better when they need owners too, Ed, but might be one to watch. I felt like there's still a little bit for him to work on there in terms of he was awkward into stride, but once he got his stride going, he mustered nicely. He's got natural speed, so there's plenty of ability. He just needs to, I guess, from Pat Kearney's point of view, they just need to iron out some of the rough edges with him. Yeah, and look, I think there was a bit of sting out in that track too, and he certainly would appreciate that, being by El Rocco. Let's go to the eye catchers now. Not necessarily all positive when it comes to the eye catchers. Some have caught the eye for the wrong reasons. Strictly business. You poured cold water on her after a first jump out. You've turned the kettle off. You're keeping the cold water on her. Yeah, I don't know where she's at. You couldn't possibly back this horse on Saturday. She's going to go around in the, is it the Alexandra Stakes? Yes, she runs on Saturday, yep. Yeah, yeah, you'd be nervous. Mile race. Or you'd be taking her on blind trust because the jump outs have been sort of less than impressive. I have seen her jump out well before at Ballarat, and yeah, not sure where she's at. So I think they've got longer plans, obviously, the SA Oaks. So maybe she's just had a slow build towards that. But gee, the jump outs have been pretty plain, and unless there's a dead body hiding in that saddle we can't see, I was probably hoping to see a little bit more. So that's over 1,200 metres. which is the sort of distance a staying type like her would jump out over. Are you worried about her after that jump out there, or do you think, let's see how she goes Saturday, let's see how she goes, say, in an Australasian Oaks over 2,000 metres, more her trip, and then form a more concrete conclusion after then?
Yeah, I think you just want to see her hit the line over a mile first up on Saturday, and that would probably give us a good indication whether she's come back well enough to go for a big race like that.
Balestaire is the next one we're wanting to have a look at here on the trial show. A couple of others in behind. What did you like about this horse, though, from the O'Brien stable? Well,
he's a horse that is easy to find at the jump outs because he's fast and he puts himself there. But I tell you what he is, he's really tough, Ed. He's very genuine. He rides a fast speed and he keeps sticking on. He's a nice enough horse. Look, he won 3 in a row and then went to Flemington, and he tried to lead on a day where they were leading into the wind there and they were all knocking up. All the on-speed horses were knocking up, and I think he can forgive it. And it's come back and had a fast jump-out win, which it's probably expected to do, but he did it pretty easy. There's a horse that ran on into third there called... in second was Star, and then Airman in third. Airman's a bit handy enough horse too with Team Hawks.
All right, let's go to Celtics. Now, this is a fascinating horse to get your insight on, because I was there enjoying my toasted sandwich and coffee at the Cranbourne Canteen on Monday, watching all of this happen. Visually, Celtics has jumped out well, but the clock, did it say something different?
Yeah, I'm sure you got a few life lessons there too in the cafeteria at Cranbourne.
Life lessons, advice, we solve the world's problems, or while the jump outs were being run.
360-degree feedback. Celtics was a real eye-catcher in a recent jump out, coming from the back and stormed down the outside, and then was able to go forward and showed a bit more tactical speed in this jump out. The thing I'd say about this heat is they went pretty slow time, and you know, he was ridden along to do it, so there was no problem with that. He was quickening up over the last 100 metres. I think he can win a maiden. He should be winning a maiden if he's genuine enough, and we'll find out more about him this campaign. OK,
so you're backing him in a maiden, but you're not saying let's put the house on him?
No, just because I've seen him trial well before, so he really needs to do it. He needs to... I think we can give him one chance, and we can sack him if he doesn't measure up.
All right, you're pretty honest, pretty brutal sometimes. One chance, though, that sounds pretty kind there with Celtics after the way that he's jumped out there. He's certainly shown something. Time for a break. We'll be looking at horses that are ready to go when we return. We've got plenty of horses that we need to be backing soon, according to Glen Ingram, as part of our Ready to Go segment here on the trial show. Let's start off with a horse who's just made its way over to Team Hayes after it was formerly trained by Mitch Freedman and has proven form over a bit of ground.
Yeah, new stable, new Piera. Look, was able to win a Kite and Maiden over 1800 and looks like it's going the right way. It's had a little freshen up since then and it's changed hands. So it's now with Lindsay Park out at Pakenham here, and it cruised up alongside Statuario, who's got a little bit of fitness on its side. Obviously the grey horse back to the inside. And they ran pretty good time here. You can see the others behind them were off the bit to chase, and our Piera, I thought, looks really forward, fit and ready to go. And I was just thinking about what the plans might be for this filly, and she could be potentially maybe a South Australian Oaks horse or Australasian Oaks, one of those races sort of over 2,000 metres. You know, if she can keep progressing the way she's going at the moment.
That's a good thing about this time of year. You've got plenty of options for those types of horses, and Statuario's got a bit of class, so he's a good yardstick. Blinded by the Light, she's also got a bit of class about her. Cooley also featuring in this heat at Pakenham. 4-year-old mare Blinded by the Light, she's pretty lightly raced. She's already placed at Group 3 level. Yeah,
so she was narrowly beaten in the Summon Stakes before going to the paddock. And look, they just sprinted up the last little bit here. Blinded by the Light's in the red colours, and the Moody stablemate Cooley, who hasn't shown a whole lot to date, I thought jumped out really well. It's in the purple colours, got the nose roll, black nose roll. And they paired off. And what I would say about this heat was they went slow time and they just really sprinted up this last 100 metres. And Blinded by the Light was doing sort of best work through the line, even though sort of had to be persuaded to do it. But I can see her heading towards Adelaide or possibly even Queensland.
Let's go to Actuality next of all. There's always been a bit of a rap about this horse. Races in the Arrowfield Silks, big swing has always shown a fair degree of ability. She's won 2 from 12 Actuality. She does go well fresh, so is that the time to follow her?
I think so, Ed. What I would say is she raced out of her grade last prep, so she was able to win at Seymour. She looked really good winning there at Seymour, and then was given a couple of weeks off and went to a straight race at Flemington. I don't think she likes the straight. I think they'll probably be avoiding that if they can. But I think she's on the up, and if placed right, I think she can win first up. As you said, goes well fresh. Big swinger, launching down the outside, big swingers. I'm sort of running out of patience with big swinger. I'd love to see him win and get it done, because you can see he didn't have the blinkers on there. They did try the blinkers last preparation.
Zuleika from the Dwyer stable. I was quite taken with this jump out here, Eagle. So you and I are clearly on the same page. Mid-prep jump out has had 3 runs. Runner-up in the Tassie Oaks last time out, holds nominations for Echuca and Mount Gambier this coming weekend.
I reckon she's a ripper, this girl. She's by North Pacific. I haven't seen too many of them, but he's able to get this horse out over ground last start in the Tassie Oaks. Now, the jockey sat on her for quite a long time, and she was just sort of out-sprinted by a horse that was probably a better stayer over the concluding stages there in the Tassie Oaks. Wasn't beaten far, but Henry's given her a little freshen up, and she's in the lime green here and pulled away from the second horse, who was going okay, but Zuleika's got a little bit of class on her side, and I think wherever she's going next, Henry can find a race for her.
Intriguing horse you've flagged for us from South Australia. We don't get too many South Australians featuring on the trial show, but this week is a different week. Bassett Babe is the name of the horse in question. She's a 3-year-old filly. She's 2 from 2, trained by Andrew Lewis. She's here to run at Caulfield on the weekend. Yeah,
we know the SA trainers do a good job when they bring horses over the border here for the Melbourne feature racing, and Bassett Babe's been running good time over in Adelaide, and I think they've got a bit of a rap on her head. I think she had some barrier issues to start the preparation. Hopefully they're on top of that now, and she'll need to do everything right if she's going to win the Group 3, Group 2?
Group 3, I believe.
Group 3, yeah. Typhoon Tracy. So the horse she's jumped out here, Nobbler is the horse on the outside for the Wallace stable, jumped out well, and Classic Gems, a horse we've been following with a fair bit of interest this campaign, has changed stables now at Dom Sutton, and I think it's nominated for Ballarat on Friday.
We've already spoken about Tropicus, Jimmysstar on the show this week. Another horse heading towards the William Reid is Baraqiel. This wasn't an intended jump out from the point of view he was supposed to run at the Newmarket and then go to the William Reid, but he had a virus, he missed the Newmarket, so plan B to get him right for the William Reid, go to the jump outs last Friday at Flemington. I thought he found the line well, Eagle.
He did. You'd need to see him do it this preparation. I think they were asking for a little bit more from this horse at the jump outs. Now, I think they're trying to get a slot in the quokka, so that might have had something to do with the way the horse jumped out. You can see Ben Allen's really pushing him out to do it, and I think that's where he's potentially headed. We'll find out more in the coming weeks. Obviously, slot holders will announce their horses, and Baraqiel, as you said, better around a bend too. We'll see that again this week, so that'll work for him.
Spoke to Ben Allen, he was happy with that jump out too. Those interviews you'll see from the Trainers Tower here on Racing.com. Plunger, lightly raced horse, still doing quite a bit wrong. So there's the ability there, but I think he's not the sharpest tool in the shed at this point in time in his career, from what you're hearing from Enver Jusefovic and Lockie Neindorf. All you can do is win, though, and he's been to the races twice and won both times.
Yeah. Is that what Enver said about Plunger, is he?
More what Lockie Neindorf said.
Oh, he did. Yes, I did hear that interview, yeah. Yeah, I think he's been racing pretty good, so I don't know if he's being a hard marker there, Lockie, but he would know he's riding him. But, you know, he's by Ace High. They are that sort of breed too. They can be a little bit hot. But he's jumped out well. Alongside another couple of horses here, the Grumpy Bear, who we know has got pretty good talent, and Lady Sadler, if they can put it into the race early, has got a good winning chance when it resumes.
Yeah, he's by Ace High, as you mentioned. Plunger, 2 from 2, won the Future Star Series final last time out, so he's already earned a bit of money early on in his career. Educated, there's a lot to like about her. She's also undefeated, 3 from 3. She's at the 2 starts this campaign. And looked good, I thought, winning at Flemington down the straight. She's looked good here too, Eagle.
She has. She looks super. And I reckon they would have been wrapped with the way she was able to win at Flemington, because she's added that extra dimension, Ed. You know, they really put her into the deep end there at Flemington up the straight, because she had just been beating him up around the tight tracks. at Cranbourne, etc. So to see her come off the speed and put them away, really impressive. And the win rated well. So she was able to go up inside Trey Magnifique. Trey Magnifique's a really good trial horse, so this is a good benchmark for Educated. Trey Magnifique, I don't know, maybe just leaves a little bit at the trials, maybe doesn't back it up on race day. The third horse was Point Barrow, who they just want to see do a little bit more right, I think. They're a little bit disappointed, perhaps first up, or last start.
I think in the Oakley Plate, everything that could go wrong did go wrong. She got hot, got worked up in the mounting yard before the race, and then cast a shoe during the race. She didn't run on as well as she could have. And I think they're wanting basically to give her a confidence booster this weekend.
That way, doesn't it?
Lower class of race, give her an easier assignment and then see how she goes there. But I thought she closed off well on Monday in that
She
jump
did,
out.
yeah. So she's got to do it on race day, and we'll see what she does next start.
We're having a look at another horse that I guess you could say is a fresh face. Has only had the one start. Optimus is the name of this juvenile colt. Was beaten the only time he's been to the races. Can he bounce back?
Yeah, I think he can, and he's one of my favourite sort of horses out of the jump outs this week because they've been able to put the blinkers on. Now, this horse took quite a bit of money on debut at Sandown. No, it wasn't mine. No, I was on something else in the race, and I watched the money, Ed, and I was getting a little bit sweaty because, you know, you've got to respect the stable, and Williams banged it out of the gates and was probably a little bit disappointing in the end. But they put the blinkers back on and went forward and won this jump out nicely. So I thought it was I think it's a horse you can follow, considering it was backed with a fair amount of confidence there on debut, and maybe that gear change will switch it on for him.
OK, so that's a key bit of information there regarding Optimus. She's not the best mare in Australia by any stretch of the imagination, but you'd love to own a mare like To Arataki, a proven group-level performer. She's got longevity, she tries hard, she makes her own luck. This is her at the jump outs at Camperdown earlier this week.
Yeah, she's very genuine, as you say. You'd love to own her. She puts herself on speed, and she can sustain a gallop too. So she had quite a hard run. I think it was the Tressaday Stakes there at Flemington.
That was the last time she ran.
That's right, yeah. So she had a bit of a hard run there. She led him up at a fast pace, and so good to see that they've given her a little bit of a break. And she's had a nice jump out here. The horse back to the inside went well here.
Home rule?
No, there's another name. Share the Stories or something, I think it's called. It's back down on the fence. Home Rule's given a nice jump out in third. It's in the orange and white there. We know that horse is probably going to end up at Warrnambool over the carnival if they can get her there. Get in there.
Yes, but To Arataki, plenty of mares races you would think that are going to be suitable for her coming up. You're giving us, to finish off the segment, 2 for the price of 1, essentially. It's how generous you are, Glenn. Danzin's one, Billy Bronx the other you liked from this jump out at Camperdown. Yeah,
well, the viewers will know that we were talking about Danzin at Ballarat. Had a lovely jump out there, Ed, didn't it? Got double behind the speed, double mentioner. We know the record of those double mentioners, Ed. And I think Linda Meach rode it that day at Ballarat in the jump out, and it's had a good jump out here, although it wasn't asked to do a whole lot behind Billy Bronx, who's a fast horse. And yeah, Danzin gets to the outside. What it does do, Ed, is it loves wet tracks. Danzin's by yes, but absolutely swims. And that'll be the sort of race they'll be looking for over the Warrnambool Carnival. I'm sure he'll be able to pick up the race the way it's been jumping out at the very least there for Tom Dabney.
Yeah, well, Danzin, I think, last win was on a heavy 10, so loves the slop.
Ate it up. Loves the slop.
Loves the
mutter
slop.
was a mutter.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come up with some more Seinfeld quotes together, and then we'll rejoin you here on The Trial Show. Time to wrap things up on The Trial Show for this week. Now, you're quite a harsh marker of your work, Glenn, but I think you've been doing a pretty good job. The Eagle has landed on a number of occasions recently. Let's talk through some of the successes that you've had of late, Eagle. My Temptation, Jigsaw, I know I talked you out of, but still, you're right. I think you've been doing a good job, Glenn.
Well, look, maybe a pass mark, Ed, but we need to lift. Poltro Miss, nice filly coming over from New Zealand, had a lovely jump out, didn't it, at Cranbourne recently, and looked pretty fit too in the yard there at Sandown. There was obviously a bit of intent, and she was able to get the job done. I think there's more wins in store for her.
Yep, My Temptation, from an informed stable as well.
Yeah, and look, put the writing on the wall with that terrific jump out at Cranbourne prior to this run and went around a big price. The punters overlooked, maybe perhaps looking at the previous form from last campaign and overlooking the jump out.
And Jigsaw, as I said, I apologise if I talked you out of it. It's proof, though, that you shouldn't listen to my opinion, Glenn. You should trust your instincts. He's a 7-year-old that's in the form of his life.
Yeah, look, follow the money trail. They really came for this horse on Saturday and got a lovely steer, and I think probably aided by the fact it was drawn out and a great ride and put it into the right part of the track there at Caulfield. And gee, won easy, didn't he?
Are you having a little something on him on Saturday? Is he one that in a William Reid you could throw into your trifecta or something like that? Or were they his wins, say, in New Zealand and in a Vobis race at Caulfield last Saturday?
Yeah, look, it's going to be hard on Saturday. I just think he's been... I don't think he can beat the horse that's been set for the race, put it that way.
Yep, fair enough, fair call. I tend to agree with you there. We've been able to feast on plenty of nice types that are going to be going around. Hopefully good odds for us with our Ready to Go segment. What are we putting into the fridge, though, for another day here, Glen Ingram?
Yeah, in the fridge. So horses we can snack on later. A recommendation, who's won 6 of his 8 first or second up runs fresh. So he is a good fresh horse, and he had a lovely jump out. He's in the Kieran Maher colours, the stable colours, just given a really quiet ride. This is a star-studded heat, Ed. There was Mornington Glory won the heat. Ray Magnerio finishes 3rd. Coleman 4th. Coleman's an interesting horse, Ed, and you were able to catch up with Clinton McDonald, I believe.
I was, so we'll hear from him in a moment. But Mornington Glory is the other one that featured here. He's been a proven Group 1 winner. He always jumps out well, doesn't he?
He does, yeah, and as does Ray Magnerio, who's back to the inside too. And look, they finished in a line there. I thought Recommendation probably could have won the heat if they were asking to do a little bit more. And yeah, good fresh horse, worth following. 1,000,
1,100 certainly his sort of trip. But Coleman's an interesting type. Hasn't been with Clinton McDonald for too long. This is what Clinton had to say post-jump out.
Yeah, he was very good this morning. That was his first trial back. He ran on Oakstar, I think it was. I thought he ran well, but still learning about the horse. So we're giving him a really good spell. He's come back in great order, and everyone saw the trial this morning. I thought he trialled terrific against a really well-known trialer in Mornington Glory. So he was smoking up on the outside of him, and we're looking at getting him ready for the Goodwood. And if we can get a Goodwood under his name, he's obviously a horse that got just beat in a slipper. That's going to hold him in good stead, but he's a beautiful stallion now. He's got a great temperament, and we're just looking for that Group 1 win with him.
Yep, just needs to tick that vital box. All right, time to bring it home. We've spoken about 18 horses. Give us 3 to really take note of.
Well, these are the 3 we should be backing. Educated, clearly is a rising star coming out of the Kieran Maher stable. And as I said earlier, added another dimension to her racing style last start. So we can follow her with a bit of confidence. Bassett Babe's a very fast and exciting filly coming over from SA. She's been running good time, Ed. And I think that'll measure up here in Melbourne. And Optimus, as I said, supported on debut. Blinkers added in that recent jump out. I thought the horse really responded, so we can follow him.
All right. Finish up with a bold statement. What have you got that's big, beautiful, bold and winning?
Well, it's probably not that big after all the chat in recent weeks, but I think Jimmysstar will be winning the William Reid. And a horse called Classic Gem, I think, will win if it goes to Ballarat on Friday.
Lovely stuff. Glenn, thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
We'll see you next week right here on The Trial Show on Racing.com.